are you wasting time and money in your investment strategy as an entrepreneur? Most entrepreneurs make certain mistakes that prevent them from being really successful in their investing, which can lead to things like financial freedom, being able to be more flexible in projects that you work on or new businesses that you want to start, or pursuing new projects in your existing business. I want to talk about some of the things that you can do as an entrepreneur, some of the mistakes that are typically made, and how you can avoid those mistakes and be more successful in your investing. First and foremost, what I see with investors, and I've experienced myself as an investor, is the mistake of not investing at all, right? Investing all of your money back into the business and telling yourself that that's where I'm investing in the business. I'm investing in the business. That is not a long-term profitable decision for the vast majority of people out there. There are definitely some people out there, some very successful entrepreneurs that you will look at. This is kind of a survivorship bias, or looking at the best of the winners and making your decisions on their activities. Well, the best of the winners in the entrepreneurship game are a very, very small group of people, and even many of them had a lot of failures before they hit those big successes seemingly overnight. So it would seem wise to, well, if I put all my efforts into this business and it blows up like their business did, then I'm going to be successful. I won't have to worry about investing. But for most of us investors, most of us entrepreneurs, we're going to have some failures over the course of our investing career. So we have to take that into fact. We have to respect the odds. We have to realize that most likely we are going to have failures in business, but we can still be profitable in light of those failures. We can still build an investment portfolio that will help us get where we want to go eventually in our life, right? I don't think any of us is choosing to be an entrepreneur because that's just what I want to do. And maybe some of you out there do, but me, I'm choosing to be an entrepreneur because I want to work in a way that's flexible. It gives me a lot of freedom of time and allows me to provide for my family. So I want to be able to use the money I make to buy myself more time, freedom, more flexibility, and to enjoy things with my family. That's why I'm working, right? The caveman used to go out and hunt and bring home food to feed his family. He did not hunt just for the thrill of hunting. Are there some people out there that do that? Yes, but at the end of the day, what's going to make you most happy as a human being, what's going to be most filled with meaning for you, is to provide for these relationships, your most important relationships. And that essentially is what we're doing as entrepreneurs. So we need to have that mindset first, that this is why we are doing this, right? We're not doing it just to be an entrepreneur. Even taking a step back from that to what I first talked about in the video is respecting the odds and realizing we need to take our profits whenever we can. There's a great book out there by an author, Mike Michalowicz, where it's called Profit First, and he talks about paying yourself first. He talks about this little formula that most of us operate by, where we have revenue minus expenses equals profit. And he is flipping that typical formula and changing it to revenue minus profit equal expenses. So you should take profit first. And it's that same kind of attitude that I'm talking about here. We don't know how successful this is going to be. So whenever there's profit to be had, we should take some of it and we should invest a percentage of that. I highly recommend you invest 20% of your profits, of your income that you take from your business, into you. You may not do that right away, but that should be your target. That's where you should go to. If you do that over a course of 20 years and you invest it in the right places, in the right tax-free accounts, you are going to be in a place where you're going to be financially free 20 years from now if you follow that formula. Now, so back to that first mistake, just investing everything back into the business. You might hear that put a bunch of different ways. You might hear people say, well, my first and biggest investment is in the S&P 500, right? Which is it is a great way to think about things, but it's not complete by itself. You need to add to that, right? You need to invest in yourself as an individual, as an entrepreneur, to improve yourself, but you also need to invest in your business to make sure your business is improving. And like I've been saying for most of this video, is you need to invest in your future self. You need to pay yourself, that is yourself from 20 years from now. You need to be making sure you're taking care of your future. I talk about this a lot in other places, but essentially when I'm teaching my kids about how to think about money and how to use money, I say we generally use it three ways. One, to make a living; two, to make ourselves happy; and three, to make a future. So we want to make sure that we are taking that money, and that's assets. Investing it is how we make a future with our money. So we have to be taking some of that money and putting it towards our future by taking the right amount out, by putting it in the right types of accounts, and buying the right types of investments. And when you follow that formula for a period of 20 years, you are going to see amazing things. You're going to reach a level of financial freedom, or complete and total financial freedom, even though you may have some big failures in your business. But if you follow that and you're putting that aside and you're investing in that future you and taking care of that future you're going to see some good things. Now, another mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people in general, everything I talk about here is good advice for anybody, whether you're a professional, you're some other sort of employee, whatever it is that you do, you can use this as well. It's not just for entrepreneurs, but since that's my background, that's who I work with, this is who I mainly gear this for, but you can use it as well at home. Regardless, if you're a housewife, if you are a janitor, if you're a school bus driver, if you are someone who doesn't make a lot of money, or someone who makes a lot of money, or someone who's just making middle class money, you can use this successfully. So the next thing is you want to avoid the traps of traditional investing. There's been a lot of messaging over the last 100 years, especially over the last, in my lifetime. So I'll say like the last 40 years, a lot of traditional Wall Street messaging. The things that they tell us about how and where we should invest are not getting the results that we need to create the best possible future. There's lots of people out there that have followed that advice, and over time they've built a good portfolio for themselves, and a good retirement. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it does not compare to what could have been achieved if they had used better tactics and better investments to invest in. So you need to you need to have a mindset that you want to get results. And one of the easiest gauges of that is to look at an index fund of the market, say like an S&P 500, and you're going to compare what you invested to how it achieved. So let's say you had 100, you're investing in some sort of index fund, and you've been doing it for the last 5 years. Let's say you started with 100 shares of this 5 years ago, and at that time it was worth $5,000. If you look at that now and look at that 100 shares that you bought, um, and you see that index fund, or pretend, you can even do this, pretend like S&P 500, what would have been like. I'm going to look right now, it's 2025. I'm going to go look at 2020, and I'm going to see what would have 100 shares of this cost in 2020. And then I'm going to look at what 100 shares is worth now in 2025. So let's say that it was $100 a share. I bought 100, so it was $10,000 worth. And now I look at it, and here in 2025, it is now worth $230 a share. And so those original 100 shares I bought have grown 2.3 times. So now they are worth $23,000, right? And so this is what we're looking at. This is the basic growth of the market. The other thing we need to compare that to is what has inflation been over that same period, right? Because inflation it's really tricky. It doesn't reduce the amount of money we have, and our money can grow, but the purchasing power of our money, because of inflation, shrinks over time, because the Federal Reserve and the United States federal government, because the Federal Reserve is printing money constantly to meet the needs of the federal government, because they are not balancing their budget and have to pull in extra money because they don't spend more than they take in taxes. And so the Fed creates new money for them. And this reduces the value, or the purchasing power, what we are able to buy of all those dollars that are already in existence. So each time new dollars are created to meet the needs of the government, it reduces the value of all the other existing dollars. So you lose purchasing power. You lose the ability to buy the things that you need. And you need to be paying attention to these things over time. If you are not looking at what the market in general is doing, and if it's keeping up or beating inflation, you can get burned over time. You will not get the best growth in your investments that you could. So you need to look at these two things as an entrepreneur in your investing strategy. One, am I investing, right? Am I actually taking money out and putting it in something besides my business, besides investing in me? Those things need to happen too, but you need to also invest in your future self. You need to put aside money for your future self, number one. Number two, you need to make sure you are using investment strategies that are getting results, because a lot of the traditional ones, the 40-60 stock bond split, 60-40 split, however you want to call it, there's several variations of that. And when you look at them over the last 40 years, are growing bonds in particular are growing in value, but they are not keeping up with the pace of inflation. So you may have grown 4% a year in your bonds over the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, but inflation over that period, inflation in just the last few years is probably in double digits, even though the government says it's been somewhere between 7 and 12. So even at 7, let's say the best outlook over the last 5 years has been 7%, and you're making 4% in bonds, you are losing 3% of your purchasing power every year. That you are not keeping up. Your money may be growing in your account, but the ability that you have to buy things with that money is shrinking, right? The same basket of groceries, the $100 worth of groceries that you could have bought 5 years ago, you will pay a lot more than you now because of inflation, and you need to make sure that your purchasing power of your investments is keeping up with inflation. So this is two of the things that investors need to be paying attention to. And I'll give you one quick fix for this as well. The quick fix that you can do for this is to set up some investing accounts that will give you tax-free benefits. So you can pull out your money tax-free no matter how much they've grown over time. Set up a system of automatically buying those every month. So when you do that, you overcome that first problem of reinvesting everything into the business and not investing in your future self, in the financial well-being of your future self. So that's first, when you automate that, you're automatically investing. You don't have to think about it anymore. And then you can also pick some good investments. And I talk about all these things in my free school community. There's a link in the description. You can join it as well. If you want to get some more information, you want to have a simple course that you can take that walks you through these things. It's all there for free. You can go there and sign up and learn much more about these things and learn how you as an entrepreneur, or someone else even who's not an entrepreneur, can make sure that they are investing and automatically investing in their future self and the well-being of their future self, putting it in the right types of accounts, buying the right types of investments so that you get real results that will grow and take care of you, results that also will preserve and hopefully grow your purchasing power so you are not falling behind because of inflation. And like I said, it's all free in the school community. Thanks for watching this, and I'd love to help you in the future as well. Bye.